Hey guys, in this video we are walking through a standard interior detail that is not a maintenance detail, but rather includes kind of the bare bones detail that I really suggest you guys offer to your new clients. And we're also going to be walking through the exact products and tools that I use in a standard detail like this, really highlighting the fact that this is a tan, light colored interior. And for those of you who have been detailing, you know that this can be very difficult, very frustrating. And if you don't implement the right tools and the right products at the right times, this can be very, very difficult to get right. So let's break some of this down. But before we do, I want to let you guys know that if you are looking to start your auto detailing business on a shoestring budget, go below in the YouTube description box and grab that free guide where I show you guys how to start your auto detailing business for under $500, where you can get the exact tools and products without wasting time, and maybe even more important, without wasting money. Because let's face it, if you don't have a little bit of guidance in this world, it is really easy to waste money. So here's how I'm starting off this detail, guys. I'm starting with the doors here, and in a lot of ways I suggest compartmentalizing the different areas of detailing that you're doing. What I mean by that is you start with the doors and you do all of the doors, or you start with the leather seats and you do all of the leather seats, or you take one area of the interior and then you detail it out fully, including every other same area, right? So leather seats or doors or dashboard or whatever. The reason why I'm not going to be doing all the doors in one fell swoop here, and I'm doing the one here and moving into the driver's side, is because I like to compartmentalize the interior in basically four different sections. You could think of it like Foursquare. I divide it like a cross down the middle. You have the driver's section, then you have the back behind the driver's section, then you have the trunk, of course, that I'm not kind of including in this, but of course you have the area behind the passenger side and the passenger side. So I'm starting outside and moving inward, so that's going to begin with the door panels and then moving inward as I'm accomplishing that. So I do start with the door panels here, and you guys are going to see that once again, this is not a maintenance client, so I am taking kind of just like the average detailing measures that I normally do. So to break that down a little bit, here's what I'm doing. Number one, I'm chemically cleaning the entire area that surrounds kind of the door panels, right? So that's everything from the door handles to the door panels to the bottom of it, all that sort of stuff. I'm doing that with Renegade's Citrus Safe Touch All-Purpose Cleaner. This has kind of become my favorite sort of go-to all-purpose cleaner for any like average to dirty vehicles. And then I'm moving inward and I'm using my steamer in basically every area here, including the vents, because it just speeds me up a ton. And then of course I have my Magic Eraser, my non-abrasive scrub pads, and my detailing brushes to get in all of those nooks and crannies. The way I like to do this is kind of like I say, hitting the reset button. I'm detailing out every area here so that I can maintain this vehicle from there. So you see I started moving inwards, but I'm going to go from top to bottom, starting with the dashboard here, making sure I hit every area there, and even using my steamer in necessary parts to really get detailed here, because believe it or not, there is still a bunch of cracks and crevices and all that sort of stuff on the dashboard area. And I'm going to move down from there, starting with the steering wheel, speedometer area, and then move to the radio kind of console transmission area down to the cup holder. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm basically just going to take my time in every part here, and you guys are going to see me switch out between that blue non-abrasive scrub pad, the microfiber towel itself, the detailing toothbrush, and then the detailing brush that I'm using. Like always, I spend a little bit extra time on the steering wheel because it is kind of a complicated area of detailing that we often oversimplify. But again, this is not about generalizing, this is about detailing. So I want to make sure that I'm getting this right. So guys, I'm going to kind of let you study how I attack this area. I'm going to come back in with more voiceover in just the next part of the detailing process to continue explaining where I go from there. Now, I do just want to come back on this area real quickly as you guys are seeing me use the detailing toothbrush to clean both of the shifters on either side of the steering wheel. One that controls kind of the windshield wipers, the other controls the blinker, you know, that sort of thing. You'll find that there's white lettering on this area, and if you're dealing with an older vehicle, which yes, this is an older vehicle, but it wasn't used very much. I think this vehicle is like a 2010 or a 2012, but it's only got like 40,000 or less miles on it, so it was not driven very much. But what you find is that the dirt on these areas, actually, when it's left for too long, it begins to break down the white lettering itself, and if you're not careful with a strong cleaner like what I'm using here, while it's diluted at a high level, and I do love it for the interiors, you do risk pulling that white lettering off, and this is an area where you're going to have to take a second, assess what you're doing, and see whether or not you can continue cleaning, because yes, believe it or not, there are areas of the detailing world and situations where you have to say, I literally cannot continue cleaning, because if I do, I'm going to damage this, and I would rather leave dirt on this than to damage it. I'm making an executive decision to kind of stop and not continue. So I am going to be very careful, not only with the white lettering on these areas, but also in the radio area as well. Now, while you guys are detailing out the console area here, this is where I really like to utilize my steamer because while of course it's probably pretty straightforward as far as how you want to detail the console, you know, kind of like that little compartment there as well as the cup holders, the sides of every console as well as that little area of the sides of both of these seats, the driver's and the passenger side seat, where the buckle sits. You see I'm getting my steamer to get in that area. Most people miss this area. They're not thinking about it, but what you find is that if you miss it and you look down there, tons of crumbs, tons of like coffee spills, drink spills, where there's just like drip marks down that area. You want to make sure you do not leave that area out, and your steamer can be your best friend in that area. Now, I am going to be using, again, just my Citrus Safe Touch all-purpose cleaner from Renegade and the Magic Eraser to be detailing out this little plastic area that sits right between the outside world, the door, and the inside of the car. Because, of course, especially on a tan interior, this area gets scuffed up with black scuff marks all the time from people just dragging their feet over it. It's very, very natural. What you guys are going to see here is me using the steamer to get in between the plastic housing, the tan plastic housing, and the rubber gasket that insulates and kind of waterproofs the car when the door is shut. That area often gets a ton of like little tiny pieces of gravel as well as dirt, and if it's really, really dirty, you'll find that when you use your steamer, it's kind of like a waterfall of mud because you're kind of liquefying the dirt in there and heating it up, and so mud just starts to run out of the bottom of that rubber gasket. So you want to make sure you get that area as well. Now, again, something that's probably worth saying is I'm detailing at like the highest level that is in my just regular detailing package, which is a very, very high level because I just don't do kind of like menial tasks anymore, like car washing or anything at this point in my business. So when I do detail for customers, it is a very, very detailed job. That's kind of the only way I do things now. So while you're observing what I'm doing here, yes, of course, it is necessary for you to take this stuff and adjust it and change it for your specific situation because everybody's situation is different in the detailing world. And what I like to say is it's kind of like reading a book. You can read a book and get really great insight, but no book is going to be written for your specific situation. It's going to be written with a general principle in mind or general principles, and that's kind of what this video is. It's giving you all of the avenues you could go down, and you're going to have to decide if you're going to go down every one of them, or you're going to have to contextualize it to your specific kind of business. Now, one of the things you see me doing here is I'm steaming the bottom part of the window really quickly here. What I will normally do is actually roll the windows all the way down before I start interior detailing because that just keeps any of the overspray from the chemicals inside the car from getting onto the glass. Glass is pretty finicky to clean in the first place, and so if I can keep stuff from getting on it, I do. But because I didn't roll the windows down here, just because I didn't take the time to do it, I wasn't thinking about it, and you know, when I'm in the middle of the detail, that's when I'm thinking about it, and I didn't want to take the time to go do it real quick. I basically, after I clean the door panels, because I sprayed the chemical directly onto the door panel, so I got a little bit of overspray on the bottom part of the window, I simply rinse it very, very quickly with my steamer. That way the chemical has no time to just sit on top, on top of the interior, the bottom part of that glass. It will help you a lot because with a strong cleaner, if it sits on the glass, you will find that when you go to clean the glass at the end, even if you use an IPA solution with a magic eraser, sometimes those streaks that have more or less kind of etched into the glass can be very, very difficult to clean off. And so I would suggest simply rolling down the windows so you don't have to worry about it. Now, as I move into the back area here, I am going to go ahead and clean the backs of the seats. And I want to explain my logic here. Because this car is not very dirty, and basically the only dirt on any of the leather seats is on the passenger and the leather side where people sit, and even that is very, very mild dirt, I'm going to get the backs of the seats done really quickly because they take pretty much no time at all because they're not dirty, so I can just wipe them down really quickly. And that way, when it's time for me to do the leather seats closer to the end of the detail, I can spend all my time on the places where there's actual dirt, and I don't have to focus on the other areas. Now, as you see me steaming this area where the seat runs back and forth, I am not steaming that area over like too much because of course there's grease in there that you don't want to drain out or steam out, but it is important to note that that area gets a ton of like hair, crumbs, dirt, anything that's in the car will collect in that area. So you can just quickly blow it out and steam it out, and you're not going to blow the grease out. So people get all scared about that, and you really don't need to overthink that. Now, as I move to the door jambs, I am going to be just using the same exact product. This is kind of the beauty of a product like this. And yes, it's been something I get a lot of questions about because it has kind of become my default, kind of like all-in-one cleaner because it works so well and so safely as an all-purpose cleaner and sort of as a degreaser if I need it for that on the exterior. It's also very safe on the exterior, and when you're detailing and you've used something like Super Clean Degreaser, while I love Super Clean Degreaser, don't get me wrong, and I'm never going to not have it in my arsenal, something that's a little bit safer on the exterior in basically all circumstances is something that I like to have in my arsenal as well. That's why I use this product sometimes on the exterior as well, and it's why I'm using it on the door jambs here, because even though I'm going to get some overspray on different areas of the car, I don't worry about overspray with this product because I know how safe it is. I've just used it enough to know that. The way that I'm detailing these door jambs is pretty much as simple as it comes because they're not very dirty. I'm simply spraying a pretty liberal amount of the product onto the door jamb, using my detail brush to agitate it just a little bit, and then I'm just using my hose with the regular kind of garden spray nozzle. And by the way, guys, this spray nozzle is like $3 on Amazon, and I've had it for like 4 years, and so I'm going to hook this up as well as the rest of the products and the tools that I'm using in this video below in the YouTube description box, so you can get your hands on any of the tools or the products I'm using here, because these are just products that are going to work, I can promise you that. Now, as I'm moving to the trunk, I always like to do this particular space at the top before I do any other area of the trunk door jamb, because obviously gravity is going to make all that dirt and grease and grime fall down, and I want to make sure that I'm mitigating my risk for overspray and getting chemicals everywhere. Now, because this is a tan carpet and a tan interior, I do have some regular like beach, just like dirty cleaning towels, big towels below on the inside on the carpet. The fabric areas of the trunk. You guys can kind of see them in my GoPro here and there. I did that because I'm going to inevitably get a little bit of overspray, a little bit of runoff off of the car, and I want to make sure that anything that goes into the car is caught by the towels and nothing gets on the tan carpets, because tan carpets are the worst in the first place, and there's no reason for me to make my life worse or more difficult. And then the other great thing about a spray nozzle like this, because I'm not using my pressure washer, I rarely like to use my pressure washer with door jambs just because I have to deal with so much overspray. But the great thing about a really inexpensive and durable spray nozzle like this is not only the fact that it works incredibly and it's like $3 on Amazon, but it's also what I would call like pressure sensitive, so I can kind of barely tap it with my hand and I can get a very light stream, or I can squeeze it a little bit harder and get a really powerful stream as well. Now, after the door jambs, I'm going to go ahead and move to vacuuming, and this is a really, really important point that I want to stress here that you guys will really help yourself if you listen to. Number one, this carpet is not super dirty in the first place. The floor mats are dirty, and there are some specific stains that we're going to talk about taking care of those. However, the floorboard itself doesn't have a ton of like loose dirt on it. So I'm going to vacuum really quickly. Most detailers who are beginning almost feel like a guilt, or like they feel like they're like, I don't know, maybe like gypping their customer or something if they're not spending a ton of time vacuuming because the car's not super dirty. This is where I would say, and this is such a simple piece of advice, but detailers really rarely follow it. This is where I would say, focus on what needs to be focused on and don't focus on things that don't need to be focused on. I'm also going to vacuum out the seams of the leather seats as much as I can while I've got my vacuum out, just to knock out two birds with one stone. Because the floorboard is not super dirty, there's absolutely no reason for me to spend a ton of time doing something that doesn't need to be done. I'm going to quickly move from vacuuming to shampooing simply because it basically needs to be shampooed alone without vacuuming. Again, the vacuuming is going to take 2 seconds, and it's going to be kind of, what would I say, isolated to the edges of where the floorboard meets the carpet that is attached to the car. So you can see that kind of line that runs across the floorboard here where the floor mat comes to an end and no longer covers that carpet. That's going to be where the majority of the dirt is, and so that's going to be what you want to deal with. Now, you probably could have guessed it, but I am going to be using the same cleaner that I've been using this whole time, the Citrus Safe Touch all-purpose cleaner. Going to be using it on the carpets as well. And basically, like I said when I was vacuuming, I'm going to be focusing all of my chemical on that area where the floorboard no longer, the removable floor mat no longer covers the floorboard, because that's the dirty part. There's no point in shampooing the carpet area underneath the floor mat. It's totally in new condition. I'm then going to take my small 2-inch drill brush, my white soft stiffness drill brush, which, yes, this is a part of the new Wilson Auto Detailing drill brushes that have not come out yet. And I'm sorry for the delay. Truly, I'm sorry. It's been hard to get all the products kind of on Amazon that I want in the midst of building this detailing course as well for the past 5 months, but it's finally coming close to an end. And with that being said, I do want to just say again, guys, if you are looking to start your auto detailing business and you're wondering what the best tools and products to use are, go below in the YouTube description box and grab the free guide to starting your auto detailing business for under $500, because I spent a lot of time. It's a 13-page document. I spent a lot of time really narrowing this down and giving you guys the good information of what you need on these products and tools. I think it's going to be really helpful for you. After I use the drill brush, I am going to take my microfiber towel and I'm going to start scrubbing pretty seriously. This is one of those areas of detailing where it's like, hey, this just takes some elbow grease and it's hard, but the steamer absolutely makes some shorter work of this. But this is what I'm going to be implementing on every area, including in the back where the floor mat that is removed meets the floorboard, where it's dirty. I want to make sure I try to get that area back as much as I can to that original tan color as possible. And then this is also the impossible carpeting, and so there is a level of just managing expectations. However, even with that, you would be very surprised with the amount of, what would I say, combination of the right tools and products and the right amount of time, what you can make happen. Now here I just want to address some specific stains here, and yes, this chemical is absolutely fantastic at addressing specific stains, and so you guys can see me using, again, the same exact kind of approach that I was using before. And the drill brushes are just a non-negotiable for me. It just makes sense to have them. Like, there's no point in not having them. They're such a practical tool. The steamer, on the other hand, people always ask, what steamer do I use in my videos? And I use a steamer called the VX5000 steamer. So I will hook up that steamer below, but it is about a $900 steamer. So the one that I normally suggest is by McCulloch, which is about a $200 steamer. And it's fantastic for the detailing world. Detailers absolutely love it. So I will show both of those steamers below this video, less expensive and more expensive. More expensive, of course, is what I use in my detailing business. But for those of you on a budget, you can check both of those out. Now, again, I'm using the, actually, for these leather seats, I'm not using the Citrus Safe Touch All-Purpose Cleaner. I'm using a specific dedicated leather cleaner, and this is, again, by Renegade. I believe it's called LVP, or maybe I'm wrong about that. It's their leather cleaner. I'll hook it up, nonetheless, in the YouTube description box below. The reason why I'm using a dedicated leather cleaner is because dedicated leather cleaners, in my opinion, tend to be a bit softer on the leather. They're pretty much just as effective in situations like this, but they're just a bit softer on the leather. Because of that, I went with this product. It's kind of like the only time I'm deviating from my all-purpose cleaner here. Again, reason being, these seats are in like new condition. The car was rarely ever driven before this particular customer got it. And so because of that, I just want a cleaner that's a bit softer. It's also a cleaner that I can use like really liberally, meaning I can spray a ton of it on the seat or get overspray on different areas, and I really don't worry about it hurting the leather at all or any other area as well. So it just makes a good little balance for me as I'm cleaning the leather. I'm using the yellow leather brush. It's a leather vinyl plastic brush, I believe. It's got these tiny little like velvet feelers, velvet hairs on the bottom of it. It's got like a million of them. And it does really, really, really well at cleaning the textured little intricacies of the leather. So I am using that here. And then I'm just going to use my steamer and possibly a detailing toothbrush to get in the seams of the leather to finish it off. Now, because these particular mats have never been cleaned before, and again, they are not in bad condition at all, but because they've never been cleaned before, and I kind of am hitting the reset button on this vehicle, which is not very hard because the whole vehicle is not super dirty, but because these mats were stained at a fairly high level relative to how much the car was actually driven, and I know that this has never been cleaned before, I want to be pretty dramatic in the measures I'm taking to get it clean. So I am still using the Citrus Safe Touch all-purpose cleaner. I've just got a bit of a less heavy dilution, so it's a bit more concentrated in this bottle that I'm using here, and I am going to be soaking the mat in cleaner, using my medium stiffness drill brush to agitate the cleaner. Then I'm going to be using my electric pressure washer from Sunjo that I love. I've been using it for the past year, and it is going to rinse the mat out. And after the mat is totally rinsed out, I'm going to use my extractor, suck up any of the remaining water, and then I'm going to protect the mats with G-Technic Smart Fabric, which is going to waterproof them. But in between all of that, after I extract the remaining water out of the mat, I am going to let them all sit in the sun, simply because I want the sun to be able to dry all of these mats totally before I address them with the protection. Now, after all of the carpets are done and they are set out to dry, it's time to go ahead and kind of perform the final wipe down or the final detail for the interior. And for this, I am using a product from Renegade again. It's I just really like their new detailer line. They're a company that I work with, and I have been using their product for like the past 2.5 years. So I was super stoked to be able to work with them in 2020. But I'm using another product from their new detailer line, which I believe is called Final Touch, and it's actually not only off-label use interior, but also it is a basically Final Touch exterior detailer. But it works fantastically on pretty much every single surface. Well, not pretty much, but every single surface on the interior: rubbers, vinyls, plastics, leathers, leather seat, glass even. And so this is a really, really fantastic product that is quick and easy to apply, and it's going to just keep things in really, really good condition. After I get done with the final touch for the interior, and I really do this every time, I leave the windows for last, and I use my IPA alcohol distilled water solution with a waffle weave towel to get the interior windows done totally streak-free. Then I'm going to go back over the interior windows with my Sonax glass cleaner. It's a new glass cleaner that I've been testing out. Comes in a really awesome, super durable bottle. I really, really like it, and great streak-free finish. Now guys, I just wanted to mention again to grab that free guide below in the YouTube description box for how to start your auto detailing business for under $500. Again, I spent a lot of time on that 13-page document that you're going to have total access to forever, and it's just a really, really comprehensive and explanatory guide to all of that. Again, if you want to see the products or the tools that were used in this video from start to finish, go check out all of those in that organized list below. And guys, if you have not hit the subscribe button yet, smash the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so that you get notified when I publish future videos. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, keep working hard, and I will see you guys in the next video.